Imagine you're sitting on a flight. Everything feels completely normal. Clear blue sky outside the window, cabin crew serving drinks, light conversations, and then a violent explosion tears through the aircraft. In a single second, the roof of the plane disappears. Above you, there's nothing but open sky. Screams fill the cabin. Winds exceeding 300 miles per hour blast through the aircraft. Freezing air rushes in. Oxygen vanishes. This was the terrifying reality of Aloha Airlines Flight 243. If the captain failed to land quickly, passengers and crew would lose consciousness within minutes. Could a severely damaged airplane survive long enough to reach the ground, or would this become their final journey? This is the astonishing true story of Aloha Airlines Flight 243. April 28, 1988. It was noon at Hilo International Airport in Hawaii. Aloha Airlines Flight 243 was preparing for its 7th flight of the day. The aircraft's name was Queen Liliuokalani, honoring the last queen of Hawaii. It was a Boeing 737, one of the most trusted short and medium-haul aircraft in the world. But this aircraft was not new. It had been flying for 19 years. It had completed nearly 90,000 flight cycles, thousands of takeoffs and landings between Hawaiian islands. It was one of the busiest aircraft in the fleet. Still, it was considered reliable, routine, safe. At the controls was 44-year-old Captain Robert Schornstheimer. He had over 8,500 flight hours, more than 6,000 of those on the Boeing 737. Calm, experienced, highly respected. Beside him sat First Officer Mimi Tompkins. She had logged thousands of hours herself, professional, disciplined, focused. In the cabin were 3 flight attendants, Jane, Michelle, and senior attendant Clara Bell Lansing. Clara was 58 years old. She had worked for Aloha Airlines for 37 years. Passengers adored her. She had seen everything in aviation, or so she thought. As passengers boarded, one woman noticed something unusual on the aircraft's exterior. It looked like a small irregularity near the fuselage. She stared at it briefly, but dismissed it. It didn't seem serious. That small detail would later become critically important. At approximately 1:25 p.m., Flight 243 was cleared for takeoff. The aircraft accelerated down the runway. Within minutes, it climbed to 24,000 feet. The weather was perfect. No turbulence, no storms, seatbelt sign off, snacks served. The cockpit conversation was relaxed. This route was flown countless times before. Everything felt normal, until a faint creaking sound began coming from the ceiling, like metal flexing, old aluminum under stress. No one paid attention, but that sound was the aircraft beginning to fail. Without warning, a massive blast ripped through the cabin. An 18-foot section of the fuselage tore open. The roof peeled away. The sky became visible from inside the plane. The force of explosive decompression was violent. Passengers were nearly pulled from their seats. Loose objects shot through the air like missiles. And in a horrifying instant, senior flight attendant Clara Bell Lansing was pulled out of the aircraft. She disappeared into the sky. It happened in seconds. The aircraft was now flying partially open. The noise was unbearable. Wind roared through the cabin. Passengers struggled to breathe. The temperature dropped instantly. Thin air at high altitude caused oxygen deprivation. The oxygen system in the cabin was damaged. Masks failed to deploy correctly. Metal fragments struck passengers. Some suffered burns from exposed wiring. Others were cut by debris. The aircraft structure was compromised, and they were still at cruising altitude.
Inside the cockpit, debris and insulation were flying everywhere. The cockpit door was gone. Behind the pilots, open sky. Captain Schornstheimer immediately understood the danger. At 24,000 feet, breathable oxygen is limited. They had minutes before passengers would lose consciousness. He initiated an emergency descent.
The aircraft dropped rapidly. Speed increased to nearly 290 knots. The plane shook violently. Structural damage made it unstable. First Officer Tompkins attempted to input emergency code 7700. Communication was extremely difficult due to wind noise. The cockpit oxygen system was still functioning. The pilots put on masks. Their only goal, reach 10,000 feet as quickly as possible. As the aircraft descended, it rolled slightly left and right. The blast had weakened its structure. Every second felt uncertain. Would the fuselage hold? Would the wings stay attached? After 3 intense minutes, they passed 14,000 feet, then 10,000. Passengers could finally breathe normally, but the danger was far from over. The nearest airport was Kahului on Maui. Air traffic control noticed the emergency code. They attempted communication. Initially, they did not understand the full severity. The pilots reported rapid decompression, but radio interference made details unclear. Emergency crews were placed on standby. Time was running out. As they prepared to land, another problem emerged. The nose gear indicator light failed to confirm deployment. If the nose gear collapsed, the aircraft could skid and ignite. The captain faced a critical decision: to lay in check or land immediately. Given the structural damage, he chose to land without delay. On final approach, the aircraft began tilting left. Engine number 1 had failed. Now they had severe fuselage damage, missing roof, possible nose gear malfunction, and one working engine, and crosswinds. Still, the runway was in sight. There was no turning back. Approach speed? Higher than normal, around 170 knots. The aircraft touched down firmly, full braking, reverse thrust from the remaining engine. The runway rushed beneath them. The plane slowed and finally stopped. Passengers burst into tears. They had survived. Emergency slides deployed. Passengers were evacuated quickly. Many were injured, some critically. Local vehicles were used to transport the wounded. Miraculously, 94 of 95 onboard survived. Clara Bell Lansing was never recovered. The National Transportation Safety Board investigated. They found widespread metal fatigue, multiple small cracks along the fuselage. The early 737 models used bonded aluminum panels with rivets. In Hawaii's humid environment, adhesive weakened over time. Cracks spread undetected. Maintenance procedures were inadequate. Warning inspections were not properly followed. The aircraft had exceeded recommended inspection limits. Small cracks became catastrophic failure.